Individual peoples. Thank you to all the listeners for tuning in, and thank you to all those on Facebook seeing us live on our new radio show, hashtag Can You Vote Matter and hashtag Can Minority Vote Matter Awareness Campaign. Today we're honored to have Amy Smoke as our guest. Amy Smoke is a Mohawk woman of the Turtle Clan from the Six Nations of the Grand River. She holds a BA and a Bachelor of Social Work from the University of Waterloo and a Master's of Social Work in the Indigenous field of study at Wilfrid Laurier University. Amy has overcome many of the intergenerational traumas that First Nations people face, including substance abuse, homelessness, incarceration, poverty, and domestic violence. She uses her personal story to advocate and speak for Indigenous women and youth, and actively works to indigenize post-secondary academic structures. Today, Amy will right now be doing the Mohawk Friendship Song. It's a song to welcome everyone here on the Haldeman track today. And Sky Smoke will be joining us, Amy Smoke's daughter. Amy Smoke, Amy, would you like to give a little bit of an introduction to what
Sure.
song is?
Yeah, the Mohawk Friendship Song is a song that we sing. We like to sing at the beginning of all things because we are Mohawk, because we are on the Haldeman track today. We like to offer our friendship to all those who are on our lands today. Are you ready? Okay.
Put the mic closer.
Are you ready? Can you sing into the mic? Okay. Ready?
Again, we're here with Amy Smoke, who's going to be singing the Mohawk Friendship Song. Would you like to explain a little bit about it?
For sure. We're going to sing the Mohawk Friendship Song. We're only going to sing a couple rounds, and it is the song that we like to sing at the beginning of all things to welcome people to the Haldeman track today. We are Mohawk Nation from Six Nations of the Grand River, and we like to offer friendship to everybody on the Haldeman track. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
The mic a little out of your face.
Away, hey, away, away, way, away, goya, away, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, away, away, way, away, goya, away, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, away, hey, away, away, way, away, goya, away, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, away, away, way, away, goya, away, Yahweh, ho, Yahweh, ho, yo. Woo, nice job. Woo. Yeah.
I made this stay in place.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay. Thank you.
That was really good. I love that.
Thank you.
So cute. So guys, you might be wondering, why this awareness campaign and radio show? Well, with my awareness campaign and radio show, youth and minorities can learn firsthand what steps are involved in the election process, how they can run or become part of a political campaign or a cause that they believe in. My radio show will show youth and minorities how they can make themselves heard and have their issues get the priority they deserve. Youth are a quarter of Canada's population, and minorities are no less than 1/5 either. Youth and minorities, what I've learned with my awareness campaign is that your elected members will listen to you if you voted. The minority can come out and partner with their candidate, and that candidate, once elected, will support them in making legislation and laws. And youth need to understand this. Any legislation made today will affect your present and your future the most. Youth and minorities, according to Statistics Canada, voter turnout varies across age groups and is worse among young voters. It's a gap that has widened since the 1990s. Only 38.8% of Canadians aged 18 to 24 voted in 2011, compared to 75.1% aged 65 to 74. Turnout also tends to be lower among single parents and newer immigrants who have obtained citizenship, according to Statistics Canada. The voter turnout in the 2018 Kitchener municipal elections was only 28%. Only 28%. Come on then, youth and minorities. You say they don't listen to us, they don't make legislation or laws that address our issues and concerns. Wake up, guys. Wake up. Youth and minorities, our Kitchener Mayor, Barry, has started the Mayor's Task Force on Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. This is a great initiative to counter all the negativities that are increasing and surrounding us today. Youth, look around the world. Wherever a revolution or any activism for change happens, it's always done by the sacrifices of the youth. During these times, even the society calls them out to make the change. The Pakistani activist Malala Yousafzai is a youth. The American Emma Gonzalez is a youth. The young women leading the democratic revolution in Sudan are youth, just like Allah Saleh. I was honored that a young woman came to me and said that I reminded her of Allah Saleh. The Swedish activist Greta Thunberg is a youth. The Canadian activist Natalie Moore is a youth. Listeners, our region is especially blessed with many great and strong women who are true inspiration, especially for the females, not just only in Canada but all over the world. Women like Kelly Dick, former NDP MPP candidate for Kitchener-Conestoga and current president of the Waterloo Regional Labour Council and the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Bhartish Chagger, the Waterloo Region record recognized her as one of 40 under 40 who would lead the region of Waterloo into the future. She was also the leader of the government in the House of Commons. Jacqueline Kiso, Director of Global Customer Experience at Digital Ed, and wife to Kitchener South Hospital Conservative MP candidate Alan Kiso. Last but not least, Abdullah and Isla, drumroll please. Amy Smoke. She's a Mohawk woman from the Turtle Clan from the Six Nations of Grand River. She is an inspiration to all of us. She has overcome many obstacles in her life and stood tall. She has not only healed herself spiritually, but now also guides and heals many, those who search peace and safety. To me, she is a phoenix who has risen from the ashes, and now she gives light to whoever seeks it. To me, I have found our natives and their spirituality to be the nearest to the earth and the environment. They believe and protect nature like no other. Whenever I have a dream about climate change, I see Mother May, Mike Forest, and Baby Greta shielded under the wings of the phoenix Amy Smoke, who protects them and guides them and helps in restoring the balance between man and nature. Again, today I'm honored to have Amy Smoke as our guest.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your unbelievable words. I'm going to cry. I'm going to take a moment to cry, but thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, yeah. I'm honored to be in the space of the youngest radio show hosts.
Thank you. So Isla's going to ask the first few questions, and then I'm going to switch it over to my brother.
So Amy, can you please touch about yourself, about your struggles and your activism?
Okay, goodness, that's a long statement. So I grew up here in Kitchener-Waterloo. I am part of the Mohawk Nation Turtle Clan from Six Nations of the Grand River, but I've never lived on my reserve. I just recently graduated from Laurier from the MSW Indigenous Field of Study. I also went to the University of Waterloo to do my Bachelor of Social Work and a BA in Social Development Studies. Prior to that, I was at Conestoga College. I did General Arts and Science. And prior to that, I was homeless, drug addict, criminal, sex worker, a bunch of things that have impacted my life because of the way that I had grown up around my identity, all of the identity issues I'd had, the struggles I'd had around not having any role models or great media representations of Indigenous people, struggling to be brown in a very dominant, white dominant spaces, and led me all of those things that allowed me to begin to heal and to begin to start speaking up for all of the youth, for all of the women, the girls, the Two-Spirit, who haven't found a voice yet, or who just need a push in the right direction.
Thank you.
And part of my activism, though, here in the community is not just with Indigenous people, but also for other events like Take Back the Night. My daughter and I were just at Women's March. We protested the migrant detention centers. I have done work with Waterloo Region Women's Crisis Services and in Selma House. So broad things that I've done here in the community.
Thank you. So, Amy, can you please tell us about your work for your community and the challenge you face every day?
Sure. One of the biggest parts of what I do in the community and where I found a lot of the safe spaces and my cultural spaces are in post-secondary. So a lot of what I've done is try to make those safe spaces for all of the other youth, all of the other Indigenous students coming through those systems, trying to make it as safe as we can, as much like home as we can, and then to bring that out into the wider audience, the wider university community. Indigenization is not just about making it pretty for the Indigenous people by putting up a bunch of Norval Morrisseaus and painting it with feathers and all of those things. There's so many other things that come with decolonization and how we can allow Black and brown bodies to thrive and flourish under colonial academic systems. That was a big answer.
You can keep going. What kinds of answers are the answers we want?
The challenges of doing that is that you are a minority. You know, I'm in a minority, and being Two-Spirit adds to the intersectionality. There aren't a lot of Indigenous bodies on campus. There aren't a lot of spaces where we can be who we are and begin to reclaim our language and culture. So some of the challenges are the institutional barriers, the governing barriers, just having to be able to speak up for ourselves when this is what every student and every child deserves.
Thank you. Amy, how do you see females participating in today's time in family building, community building, and nation building?
Such an important question. I don't think that people realize that many Indigenous nations are matrilineal and matriarchal. We are very much who our mothers are. The women in our communities have been nurturers and caregivers and guardians of children. We've also been warriors and songkeepers and firekeepers and all of the things that help to keep our community strong. We give life, we raise life, we nurture life, all of the things that we have not acknowledged due to colonization, because women are actually the backbone of community, and those who identify as such as well. So I think that females are already a part of the family building, the community building, and the nation building. It's just never been recognized that way. I think that European colonizers really feared the power that women had in our communities to make decisions and wanted to deal with men. And that just we became by the wayside. So I think we're already there. It's just a matter of recognizing that we're the strength of our communities.
Oh, what about?
Thank you.
So, Amy, you have been a great advocate for Indigenous women and youth. You have also been actively working to indigenize post-secondary academic structures. Can you please tell us more about it?
Again, it's so difficult to try to add indigeneity to a colonial structure. We should have our own. We should be building our own. We should not have positions like managers of Indigenous centers. We should have directors and people on the Senate, people on the boards, people in places that matter most, where our voices historically have never been allowed and never been heard, but those that make the decisions. VP positions, there's just so many positions in the institution that should be given to Indigenous people in order for us to lead the way. It's very hard to indigenize a space when it's a very colonial space. So I'm sort of actively working to keep the small spaces we do have for Indigenous students and for learning about the Indigenous people, while trying to get the rest of the university's spaces to understand how to start to decolonize not only our own minds, but our own spaces around us. And that's, this didn't happen to Indigenous people overnight. So it'll take generations, I think, for us to be able to have everybody understand.
Thank you. So, Amy, why do you think the youth and minorities votes in? Why do you think that the female youth and minorities votes in representation matters? And what steps can be taken to get them more involved in the election process?
It's so important for, and in particular in our communities, Indigenous people, we're the fastest growing population in Canada, and 50% of us are under the age of 25. So that's a huge demographic. It's a huge swing vote, right? To have the entire Indigenous youth voting. It's in particular important to me, like you guys were saying in the beginning, that the decisions we make now are going to affect, my kids. I have a 19-year-old as well, and decisions now are affecting her. So it's so important to make your voice heard. It's so important to make that count, and it does count, and it does count in very big ways. I know that when I was younger, I didn't vote. I was part of the belief that as a Native person, as an Indigenous person, my vote didn't matter. Nobody would listen anyways. So I am now encouraging my daughter to become part of that political sphere and discussion and conversations, because her voice does matter, and we're getting stronger. There's so many more of us that are raising our voices to be heard and to be seen. Autumn Pelche, 13 years old, speaking for the water, just as Greta Thunberg does. And Indigenous people have been doing and saying that. Indigenous women in particular have been doing and saying that for generations. So it's nice to see people finally giving us some credit and acknowledging our work in the communities.
Thank you. So I have a question that, same as the first one. You talked a little bit about your past. I was wondering if you wanted to go on about it a little more, because we still have a lot of time.
Sure. I grew up here in Kitchener-Waterloo, and there weren't a lot of other Indigenous people that I could relate to, that I saw, that I looked up to. There were no teachers. There were nobody to guide me and help me understand why I look different from other people. I'm visibly Indigenous. I was bullied a lot, and it just led me down a really bad path of making really horrible choices and self-harm, which spreads out to my community. It spreads out into my family, the way that I was reacting and behaving to not having any kind of an identity. So it took going to a healing lodge for First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people only, and I found my culture. I found the smudging and the singing and the drumming and all of the things that spoke to my core. And I held on to it, for dear life. It was a lifeline. There's so many things. There are so many times where I have heard stories of Indigenous people returning to their culture, their language, and their ceremonies and their traditions, and are happier than they've ever been, are more balanced and more peaceful. My mom is probably one of those people who found her culture very, very late in life, and is now happier to have done so. She's in awe, I think, of Sky speaking the language, because her parents didn't speak their language in their homes. My mom didn't learn Mohawk or Cayuga, so for me to be able to teach my own daughter in my home her language is really important. We're the first generation where she learned it in her home, from her mother tongue, from her actual mother. I learned it in class. So there are very, very unique aspects to being an urban Indigenous person, but we should have access to all of our ceremonies and traditions. It makes us stronger and healthier, and you might not have to go down all of those dark alleys and bad decisions that I did. And I'd like to be able to stop that for my children. So,
is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I just vote, vote. Go out and vote. October 21st, go out and vote. I am very strong supporter of some of the people in my community, some of the people who have built relationships from the ground up. I don't know any other candidates because they have not spent time with me in my space, in my community, in Indigenous organizations. So I can only make a case for the people that have built the relationships in our communities. And that's, obviously Laura Melindo and Laura Campbell, who have done amazing work in being a part of our community and bringing our voices to the tables that we're not normally at. No, just vote. You guys are doing such a great job. I'm like in awe. I can't believe I'm being interviewed on the radio here.
Okay. Ella, could you lean a little bit more into the camera?
Okay. Hey guys, subscribe to my Twitter at Isla_awesome. That is at the rate AYLA_awesome. And Instagram, Isla_awesome forever. And that is AYLA_awesome forever.
Hey guys, we're expecting our grandmother and uncle and aunt to visit us soon and see how beautiful our country Canada is and how with hard work and with support we've come to be where we are today. Minorities, if visas for your family and grandparents are something you hold dear and close to your heart, then your votes are what hold all that power. And I know many of us have our visas rejected and we become upset and lost. But if you use your vote and go out and talk to your candidate, this is important to you, know this is what your candidate, once elected, will help you with. We're also looking for sponsors for our other projects, specially made for the kids in our community. Just a walking distance from our studio is Google. Hey Google, sponsor our projects. Timmy's and Walmart, what about you? For more information, visit our website at www.alaconsei.ca. It's www.aalaaconseil.ca. Youth and minorities, let us know what's important to you so we can share it here. You can text us at 519-721-2905 or email us at ourchildrenmatter@alaconsei.ca. Youth and minorities, thank you, Amy, for being with us on our radio show. Is there anything you want to say right now?
No, not at all. Thank you guys so much. And Google, did you hear that? Google, hey, did you hear that?
Thank you. And thank you everyone who tuned in. Don't forget to catch us next week, same time, same channel. CKMS 102.7 FM Radio Waterloo. Remember, hashtag Can Youth Vote Matter and hashtag Can Minority Vote Matter. It does. It does. Thank you.